Sarah had always dreamed of becoming a world-class athlete, but she came from a small town where resources were scarce, and opportunities even rarer. Growing up in a family that struggled to make ends meet, she had learned early on that achieving greatness wasn't going to be easy. Despite the financial difficulties and the lack of training facilities, Sarah never gave up on her dream. She would run along the dirt roads, imagining herself on the tracks of international stadiums, visualizing the roar of the crowd as she crossed the finish line. Her coach, Jim, had seen her potential from the moment she stepped onto the track. A man of few words, Jim believed in hard work and grit. He wasn't the type to sugarcoat things. He knew that success in sports came not only from talent but from an unrelenting drive to push through adversity. He had been coaching athletes for decades, and Sarah was one of the few who showed true dedication. But even Coach Jim knew that there was only so much he could do. He couldn't give Sarah the things she lacked: better shoes, access to specialized training, or the financial support to travel to competitions. All he could give her was his wisdom, a sense of discipline, and belief in her abilities. Everything seemed to be falling into place for Sarah. She trained day and night, determined to make her dreams come true. Her body began to show the results of her hard work. Her speed increased, her endurance grew, and her confidence soared. But just as things seemed to be aligning, fate threw a cruel obstacle in her path. During a particularly intense training session just weeks before a major race that could change everything for Sarah, disaster struck. She pushed herself too hard, determined to break her own record, and during a sprint, she felt a sharp pain shoot through her leg. She collapsed to the ground in agony, unable to move. Her heart raced with panic as she realized that she might have seriously injured herself. The doctor's diagnosis confirmed her worst fear: she had torn a ligament, and recovery would take weeks, possibly months. Sarah woke up on race day, her heart heavy with both fear and determination. The pain in her leg had subsided slightly, but it was still there, lurking beneath the surface, a constant reminder that her body was far from ready. She stood before the mirror, staring at the athlete she had become and the one who was still struggling to believe in herself. Her mind swirled with doubts. What if I can't finish? What if I hurt myself more? What if I fail? But then she remembered something Coach Jim had told her repeatedly: it's not about being perfect, Sarah. It's about showing up, even when it seems impossible. The fight is in the mind, not just the body. With those words echoing in her mind, Sarah decided to step onto the track. She knew it wasn't going to be easy, and the pain would be there, but something inside her told her that this race was more than just a competition. It was a test of her spirit, of her willpower, and of her ability to push through when everything seemed stacked against her. As the race began, Sarah started strong, but the first few moments were agonizing. The familiar ache in her injured leg intensified, and each step felt like a battle against her own body. She had to dig deep to keep going, to push through the pain that threatened to consume her. The crowd cheered, but in that moment, all she could hear was the pounding of her heart and the sound of her own thoughts screaming at her to stop. But then she remembered the countless hours she had spent training, how she had kept running even when her body screamed for rest, how she had ignored the doubt that tried to hold her back. She remembered Coach Jim's face, urging her to keep moving forward, even when it seemed like there was no way to win. With every painful step, Sarah began to regain a sense of clarity. The race no longer felt like a battle against her body, but a battle for her belief in herself. Her thoughts began to shift. I don't have to win. I just have to finish. That realization gave her a new surge of energy. She stopped thinking about the possibility of failure and focused only on the next step, the next breath. She was no longer racing against others. She was racing against her own limits, pushing past every obstacle, every doubt. As she neared the final stretch, Sarah's body screamed in protest. The pain in her leg was unbearable now, and she felt like she might collapse. But then, something incredible happened. In that final moment, Sarah felt a surge of strength that came from deep within her. It wasn't physical, it was something stronger, something intangible. It was the realization that she had made it this far, that she had refused to give up despite all the odds stacked against her. With one last burst of energy, Sarah crossed the finish line. It wasn't first place, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that she had done it. She had shown up when everything inside her told her to quit. She had kept going when the impossible seemed like the only reality. And in that moment, Sarah realized that the true victory wasn't about the race or the medal. It was about the strength of her mind, the power of her resilience, and the belief that nothing, not even the impossible, could stop her if she chose to keep fighting. As she stood there, breathless and exhausted, Sarah felt a deep sense of peace. The pain in her leg still throbbed, but it no longer mattered. She had proven something to herself, something more important than any finish line or prize. She had proven that the real victory lay in not giving up when it felt impossible, in choosing to believe in herself when the world seemed ready to let her fall. Her family, her coach, and even the people in the stands cheered for her. But the loudest applause came from within her own heart, a recognition of her own strength, her own courage. Sarah knew that no matter what the future held, she could face it head-on. After all, if she could overcome this, she could overcome anything. The impossible had been broken, and she was stronger than she had ever imagined. The true lesson wasn't just about winning the race, it was about never giving up, no matter how impossible the journey may seem.